All right, we're going to work on an up-the-neck version of John Hardy. This song is in the key of G, but we're using this as a study of C diatonic chords because for those of you who've played John Hardy before, you know that this song is kind of based around G7. The set of pitches we're using for this song, for everything except when we're playing the D chord, we're going to be using the G scale, the G7 scale, right, which is being borrowed from the key of C. If this is sounding like a foreign language, back up to the C diatonic chord study. We talk about how our G7 material is actually coming from the set of pitches in the C major scale, not the G major scale, because the G major scale has an F sharp in it. When we're playing something like John Hardy, we're not playing... You could write your own version or modify it to use that F sharp, but the F sharp is only coming to play on John Hardy when we're playing that D chord. That's when we're back to using that D7. That's when we're using the tones from the G major scale as opposed to the G7, G dominant 7 scale or the C diatonic scale. And so we're going to be combining, for most of this study, we're going to be using chord positions, triads and sixths, that we're borrowing from C major. Or you can think of it another way, in that we're in the key of G, we're using all the triads and sixths that we learned from G major with the small tweak of all the F sharps become Fs. There are two approaches to think through something like this. And so we're playing this up the neck. If you've never played John Hardy before, go check out the 3-finger version of it that I teach earlier in this course. I think it'll make more sense to work on this if you have kind of the first position, kind of 3-finger version of this under your belt. All right, so let's break this down. This is going to start with 8th note pickup notes here at the 5th fret. The melody that we're going to be playing is, we're essentially trying to get, that's the general shape of the melody for John Hardy. So we're going to be harmonizing this in 6th below. We're going to do 3-note pinches. This will sound like this: 1 and 2 and 3. And then that brings us to our C chord here, our C triad that's based out of this root position C. And the first inversion triad here. And we're going to do a forward roll starting with our middle finger, middle thumb, index, middle. We're shifting from this triad of C to the next inversion. So slowly. And then we're going to move up to this next triad, which is a D minor triad. But that kind of indicates our kind of G7 sound. So we have and so if we weren't flatting the 7th there, it would sound like this. Completely different sound. So we need that F natural, which gives us that D minor triad, which is, you know, the 2nd chord in our C triads going up. All right, so we have our this is our first line. And then that brings us back down to this G7 idea that is a B diminished triad if we want to get into the nitty-gritty of it, but that's a G7. And then we're going to do this forward roll starting with our middle, middle, thumb, index, middle, thumb, index, middle. That roll is going to happen a lot in this tune. And then we do that roll again. So we have over G7, and then back to our G. So that whole first line. This idea here, da, down, down, that's just a G7 idea. It's the same thing as going. So we have, sorry, I played the harmony. It's the same thing as going, right? Bringing us back to our G triad here. And then we're going to shift up to get this 6 that indicates our G7. Bringing us back to the C. I'll play the entire thing for you to that point. And then we're going to do this a repeat of that first bar up until that point.